Hey folks, I think we are going to make a start. We want to make best use of the time that we have with you this afternoon. So you're all very welcome to this webinar, during which we're going to give you an update around the use of the Pro platform for the qualifications that we support in Wales that have external assessment within them. And so you're very welcome. Just if I can introduce you to your control panel. Everybody is on mute at the moment, all delegates, so that we can limit background noise. Could I ask you to make sure that you've got any sort of apps and things that you're running in the background other than this one turned off, and that should improve your experiences this morning. You're all very, very welcome. We hope that you find the webinar useful. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. I'm just going to hand over to my colleagues now to do a little bit of housekeeping. Over to you, Ashley.
Yes, thank you, Susie. So just a few housekeeping slides that we've got going on here. So the session has been recorded and is being recorded, and it will be sent to all attendees after the webinar. As Susie's mentioned, everyone is on mute. We'll only unmute you if we're doing that. The slides will be sent to all attendees alongside the recording after the webinar, so you'll receive everything that you're seeing today. If you've got any questions, we do have a questions tab that you can add the questions in, and we'll try to answer all of the questions whilst the webinar's running, but we've also kept some time aside at the end to go through the questions and answer any questions live. If the session cuts off for you, please use the original webinar link to gain access back into the session. Alternatively, you can join over the telephone as well. There's an option for you to phone call in.
Thanks, Ashleen. So as I said, everybody, the majority of you joining us this morning do know me. My name is Susie Gray. I'm the technical advisor here for health and social care and childcare at City and Guilds, and joined by two lovely colleagues today. So over to you, Ashleen.
Yeah, so my name's Ashley Beckingham. Some of you may have heard of me, or we've been introduced previously, but I'm one of the digital solutions managers within City and Guilds, and I look after all of our digital solutions platforms, one of those which is Pro, which is why I'm joining the call today, just to take you through that platform. But I will reach out to you all individually afterwards, and we can book in some other sessions on some of our other platforms as well.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Susie. So I'm sure you'll have all met before. I'm Andrew Maruby. I'm your Business Development Manager. I look after Wales and Northern Ireland, so I'm the nation's Business Development Manager. And today I'll be taking you through the agenda and also just the reasons, the context why we've decided to put this webinar on for you all. Okay, so thank you, Ashley. So in terms of today, what we're trying to cover is it's looking at the Pro platform, it's looking at the data, and we just want to show you how to facilitate the bulk uploads. We're looking at some of the functions that you may not be aware of within Pro. So looking at bulk uploads, including things to avoid. We'll be showcasing how to amend the status of learners. So when withdrawing learners, including what templates are available, any change of circumstance. We'll be looking at the gateway submission, the confirmation of live learners, and also showing you how to adjust the preset gateway dates. And it is important because the system does have a preset of the gateway dates. Also looking at the uploading of documents and learner evidence, and then finally around data cleansing and reporting. Okay, thank you, Ashley. Okay, so in terms of the context, so why have we decided to run this? So over the last 12 months of customer discussions, it's become apparent from myself and with customers that Pro wasn't always being utilized to its full potential. So today, my colleague Ashley will show you how to maintain Pro apprentice data, providing instructions on the bulk uploading of templates for adding and updating apprentice data, an in-depth look at the function of Pro, and how to get this data easily out of Pro using reports. And my colleague Susie will also provide an update of the upcoming changes in the HCLW apprenticeship builds and the different assessment strategies linked to these changes. Okay, so accurate data is one of the foundations of organizational success. With the tools and guidance provided today, we want to help support you improve the accuracy of your data, allowing for better planning and eventually better outcomes. Indeed, I'm sure a number of you have been bombarded by upcoming gateway emails for learners who may not yet be at the external assessment stage. So we'll show you how to amend the base data to improve the accuracy of notifications throughout Pro. So how can you help us to help you? So with accurate data for custom planning, we at Sitting Girls will also be able to resource and plan for external assessor capacity at pinch points throughout the year. And of course, we recognise that Pro is just one of a number of systems that you have to maintain, which is why we will also be providing information on how to create bespoke reports and how to schedule these to help curriculum managers, MIS managers, and all other key stakeholders receive timely and accurate information direct to your email inboxes. We feel this will minimise the need to manually scour learner data within Pro, and the specific data reporting will also help support periodic maintenance and reconciliation of learner data against your internal MIS. Finally, and recently, we have been improving our customer journey guidance for Pro and the booking process for professional discussions. Actually, we'll be showcasing the gateway process and also how to track learners' progress throughout this booking stage to an eventual professional discussion. Okay, so and now I'll be handing over to my colleague Susie to provide an update on the upcoming higher apprenticeship assessment changes within the HCLW quals. Thank you. Over to you, Susie.
Thanks, Andrew. So those of you who are working with us for the Healthcare Learning Wales qualifications, I know we've got some colleagues on the call today that are working within the construction side of things. So you'll be aware that for the last number of months we have been looking at how we can amend some of the assessment approaches within the level 4 journey to try and improve. Oh, could you go back a slide, please? Actually, thanks very much. To look at how we can enable learner progression to occur much more smoothly. So to help us to help you, what we need you to do is listen very acutely to Ashleen's instructions today, because we do need you to update your learner data to help us transition learners that are impacted by these changes within the Pro journey. It's going to be particularly relevant for those of you who are supporting learners within the Children's Care, Play, Learning and Development Level 4 qualifications, and I'll come to a little bit more information about that in just a moment. We do need to isolate and understand learner volumes currently completing the level 4 and the level 5 qualifications, and in fact all qualifications for external assessment with our qualification cohorts in Wales. And that will help us to manage those key milestones for external assessment that Andrew referred to a little bit earlier. We do also understand that because of the challenges that you have encountered and your learners have encountered with the current assessments, particularly within the Children's Care, Play, Learning and Development Level 4s, there may well be a number of learners who have become inactive or have been disengaged with the assessment process. So to help us help you to re-engage with those learners, that's another reason for us to be able to identify the actual learner volumes that we have against learners who have absolutely withdrawn from the qualification process. If we can do this piece of work together, then that will help us to help you again to better support the potential re-registration of learners who are coming to their end dates within their registration journey for the level 4 qualifications and indeed for some of the level 5 qualifications. So just to update you really quickly then about where we're up to with the level 4 review, I'm delighted to confirm that all of our proposed amendments to all 4 of the level 4 qualifications have now been approved by Qualifications Wales. And we are in the process of refining our centre or customer communications to confirm what these changes are, and we're hoping to get that comms out to you early next week. The major changes will impact the level 4 children's care peer learning and development qualifications 16 and 17. So that's the preparing for leadership and management and the professional practice qualifications. And this is because we have made a major change to the assessment approach related to Unit 405 within those qualifications. And it will now be external assessment by learner presentation and discussion with the external assessor. This change will appear on Pro as 455 to differentiate it between the current assessment for Unit 405 and this new assessment. It will be by external assessment though as well. So the learner will submit a presentation and then talk about that presentation to their external assessor, and the external assessor will ask them questions to get in underneath their knowledge and understanding. So Unit 455 or Assessment 455 will be automatically available to all learners completing 8041, 16 and 17 who do not have previous assessment bookings. So for learners who come into the system from the 1st of September 2024, they will automatically be put forward with the vision that they will complete the Assessment 455. Learners who have existing bookings within the system who are preparing for resits, they will be still expected within the system or allocated within the system to complete Unit 405 and its associated assessments. And you will need to work with our colleagues in Welsh Qualifications to transfer those learners over to the new 455 assessments, if that is what they wish to do. There is still an option within the system for any learner to complete the existing assessment 405 if that's what they choose to do, and equally learners will have access to the new assessments if that's what they choose to do, but all new learners will be defaulted to do the 455 assessment. So that's the presentation and discussion. So there will be an additional event about these changes, probably mid to end September. So I know it's complicated. There are other changes that are happening as well, but the changes for CCPRD are the larger changes, and they will be immediately impacting on how the Pro platform is presented for your learners. So I just wanted to update you about that and to confirm that the changes are imminent now. So going live on the 1st of September. So over to you then, Ashleen, I think.
Yeah, thank you for that, Susie and Andrew. So what I'm going to do now is just talk to you about Pro. And then what I'll do is I'll share my screen or a different screen, log into the Pro platform and just talk you through how those points that Susie and Andrew have made, and then go through the platform in full. So EPA Pro was designed for English apprenticeships. Some of the technology on Pro will be different to what you use for Qualification Wales. So where we see the apprentices, that reverts to yourselves for learners. Again, with apprenticeships, that's for our qualifications. You'll see the lead IEPAs and IEPAs within there. Yours will be the external assessor, and then where we've got provider, that's just centre. So I just wanted to point out a few of those, because when I do share my screen, we will have the apprentices and apprenticeships on there rather than the learners and qualifications. Some other differences that you'll know within the EPA Pro platform or Pro platform is that our Qualification Wales centres won't be using the assessment booking tab. This is done for you from our end, so that was in our quality team. You will be contacted by one of the City and Guilds colleagues, and they'll invite you to book with sufficient notice for the qualifications that you are delivering. You can receive the feedback on the platform, so you will be able to look at the learners' feedback, and I'll show you where you can find that within the platform as well. However, the results will be posted in Walled Garden rather than on the platform itself. So you'll be able to find all the learners' results within Walled Garden, but you can receive the feedback on Pro. So now I'm going to use my technical expertise, and hopefully if I stop sharing this screen it will go straight to the Pro website. Now I do understand a lot of you have been using Pro for maybe a number of months or a couple of years. I am going to go through the platform in full just so that you're getting to have a real feel of what the platform can do. You may not be using some of the features, so I just want to try and point out everything that you can use, but home in on the points that Susie and Andrew have made in regards to those confirmation of dates, and then the reports that we can pull as well. If you do have any questions whilst I'm going through the platform, please just pop them in the question tab, and Susie and Andrew can be answering those questions live. Alternatively, what we've done is kept an extra space at the end of the webinar so that we can hopefully answer some questions live there as well. Perfect. Susie and Andrew, can one of you just confirm that you can see the Pro platform? I'll put my teeth in for that one.
Yes, we can. Yes, all working well, Ashley.
Thank you,
Fabulous.
Ashley.
That's gone quite smoothly, so I'm pleased about that. So what we've got on screen is my demo platform for Pro. This is the home page. So what you're seeing here is the home page. This is very similar to what you'll see, just the numbers that will change on screen. So I'll go through the home page in full for you. So we've got at the top, and hopefully the mouse will work properly, you've got at the top a little area performance. Now this is showing you what your learners, or how many learners you've got going through in that month. So going through their assessment, completed assessments, completed planning meetings, and then published certifications. So what you see on screen on your homepage is for the month that you're in. You've then got latest news, so hopefully these will be relevant to yourselves as a login and per user login. Anything with the new blue button is something that you've not read before, so you can see on here that these was posted on my demo site and I've actually not looked at those. You've then got to the right hand side of the screen a calendar. Now again, this is for the month that you're in, but it does allow you to go back a month and forward to previous months as well. And this is showing you any planning meetings that have been booked in or any assessments that your learners are going through. You can hover over those and it will give you more information of who the learner is and what assessment it is that they're going, that they'll be sitting. On your top right hand corner, you can see now that that's now gone red. If I just drop down there, you've got, this is where you can edit your profile, edit your company profile. If you have the correct access, you can add and edit sub-users as well. And then this is where you can change your communication settings. Now with the communication settings, I will go into this, and it may be that at the minute you're getting quite a few emails to say that you've got learners going through Gateway, resit components. You can choose to switch this off so that you don't get them via email and that you get them through the app. I'm not going to go through every single one today because there's quite a number of communication settings that you can change. But what you can do is go to the drop down and you can select whether you want to have that as an email or an in-app notification, or you can choose to disable that altogether. So the ones that aren't relevant to you and your job role, you can turn them off completely. And vice versa, you can have them just to your email or just to the app itself. If you was to have them on the app, they would come under the bell notification at the top here. And I will just say, if the screen's quite small, you'll be able to zoom in on your own screen at home. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. So you can just choose to zoom in and it should bring that up for closer for you. So if you choose to have the notifications in app, they'll just be under that bell button that I mentioned at the beginning there. And then what you've got is a clipboard. So these are any actions. So within the platform, you can create tasks and to-dos for yourself. So if you've created those and you've got any upcoming actions or to-dos, they will show at the top here. So what we've got now then on our left-hand side is the to-dos and notifications. So these are basically the bell button and the clipboard at the top that I've just mentioned. If you wanted to go into these in full, you can click in here, and this is where you can add custom tasks as well. So if you know that you've got a learner that's going through assessments towards the end of the month, you can pop yourself a little task in there to check all their portfolios and work and things like that. And it's quite simple to do. Once you click add, you can assign it to an apprentice as well, and you can select a due date, as well within there. Similar to the notifications, with there I've got nothing to show at the moment, but if you had any notifications, you can go in here and it allows you to delete them, read them, and then move them as well through the files. So our next tab is the apprentices. So within this tab, this is where you can view any apprentices that you've got within the system. I will highlight this button at the top here. So when you click on the apprentice tab for the first time, it always shows your learners that are in assessment. So if you're wanting to look for any historic learners that have been cancelled, completed, you will need to change the filter at the top on this one. But it allows you to see the learner's name, the standard or qualification that they're on, who their assessor will be, and then the provider. So the provider is your centre name. What you can then do is see the status and then change any actions. So we've got the three little buttons here. It allows you to view that learner and then also look at that learner's profile, which I'll come on to in a second. So there's two ways that you can add an apprentice onto the platform or add a learner onto the platform, and you will click on this add apprentice button at the top. So I think it was my colleague Andrew that mentioned, and Susie actually mentioned it as well, the platform naturally puts the learner's expected gateway date and confirmation date as a year and a day. So what we're trying to do with this webinar and moving on into the future is that we put that to a more realistic date. So if you've got a qualification that a learner's starting, and it's say a 2-year qualification, just make that end date realistic so that for your reporting aspects, as well as ours, we know that we've got the correct amount of assessors ready for that completion date or that expected completion date. So the learner details that you need to pop in are just the mandatory fields. You can put as much information as you want onto the system, but the only ones that you really need are the mandatory ones within there. So this is how you would then add a learner one by one. Once you're happy with that, you can save and continue. And then what you can then do is go through the tabs at the top. So you've got the user details, which would be the username and email address. You've got your given name and surname and then a telephone number for your learners. What you can do within the platform is give your learners access. And I'll show you what that would look like in a second if you wish to do this. And what you can do at the point of adding your learner onto the system is toggle that blue button that I've just toggled there. What that will then do is prompt an email to that learner's email address, and they'll be able to access the system. So the learners can only see their own profile and then any support materials that are available for learners, but it allows them to see their own progress as well. And then any files and work that's being uploaded for that learner. So you've got the apprentice details, so national insurance number, date of birth, etc. Any workplace details that you want to bob in there, and then any reasonable adjustments as well, if that learner has any. So I'm just going to save and exit on this one, and hopefully it'll bring me back. There we go. I just need to go through that again. Bear with me a second. Perfect. So there's another way that you can add your apprentices, and that would be our bulk uploading process. So how you would do that is click on the import apprentice button. And what we're going to do is create an apprentice. So there's a number of things that you can do via the bulk upload button, and that's change of circumstances, update apprentices, and starting new programs. This is quite interesting to say that there's a new unit that's getting added to the qualification. So if you have a few learners that you're wanting to move on to that unit, you can do this by updating that apprentice or starting a new program, but I can book that in separately with you to show you how to do that. Today we're just going to look at creating an apprentice. So what you would then need is your example CSV, which is the create apprentice CSV, and then also the documentation of apprentice at the top. So what this will then give you is a step-by-step guide on how you can then bulk add your apprentices with the correct documents. Once you're happy with that and you've filled out the CSV, what you would then do is choose your file and upload. If there are any errors, they would appear on this grey bit at the bottom. And the errors would be there in full for you to then go in and change. What we've then got is our issue management tab. So this is for any changes of circumstances that that your learners would need. And this could be that they've withdrawn from a program. It could be that they've had a break in learning. So what you would do is just search your apprentice. And then under the actions, you would update that. You've then got a drop down to choose the correct status, so whether that's suspended, cancelled or withdrawn, and then you can just pop some notes in there and a reason as well. Once you're happy with that, you can click save, and then that learner's status will change within the system to active or cancelled or withdrawn. So what we've then got is your gateway review. So once you've added your learner onto the platform and you've given them that expected gateway date, that end date, they will sit in the enrolled section. So ideally what we want is this enrolled section to be clear, to be 0, and we want all of your learners to be sat in the confirm section ready for you to process them. So what we're looking at here is the expected, expected gateway date. So as you can see, this is incorrect. This date has passed. So what I want to do now is change this date to reflect this year for one, and also to reflect when that learner is going to sit their assessment. So if you are needing to come in and change that, you can edit the expected gateway date, and it'll open up a new tab, and then you can change that. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that live for us on screen. And I'm going to pop that to the end of September. Bear with me a second. Did that the wrong way around. Bear with me a second. There we go. So what that should have done now, and I'm hoping it works with it being a demo site, is that should have now changed for that learner, and it hasn't because it's a demo site, so sorry about that. But what that would have done is change that expected gateway date to reflect the 30th of September that I've just done. So once you've changed all those dates and those dates are accurate and you're happy with those, what you would then do is click confirm. And what that would then do is pop our learner into the confirmed section. Now your learners can sit in here for up to a year, for more than a year. They can sit in the confirmed section for however long that you need that learner to sit there. What that's saying to us is we would look at that expected or confirmed ready date, excuse me, to make sure that we've got the correct amount of assessors available to be able to assess that learner. So that's the date that we would look at. If you are looking at this learner and say you have a learner that has here we've got learner 07. That learner's then decided to drop off the course or have a break in learning, or you need to change this confirmed ready date to say a month further along the line. You can reverse that confirmation. That learner will then go back into the enrolled for you to then change that expected gateway date. Again, once you're happy with that, you'd click confirm and they would move into the confirm section ready to be processed. Now, once you're happy with that and your learner's ready to be processed, you would need to select the blue process button, and this then will allow you to start uploading that evidence for that learner. So the assessment preparation form. This qualification has the business project proposal that you can browse and upload, and then you would go through the 4 steps at the top. Now, some of the qualifications have a mandatory planning meeting within them. If it does, within this process stage, that's where you'd apply for that planning meeting, and you can ask for a Welsh speaking planning meeting to take place as well. So once you're happy with that and you've uploaded all the correct elements and evidence, you would click save. I can't do that on live today, unfortunately, because I don't have the folders open to do that. But once you've popped all that in and processed that learner, your learner will then sit in the pending section. And the pending section is for our quality team to then check that all the relevant information that you've uploaded for that learner is correct. Hopefully everything is. If they are, they'll go to completed. If anything has been rejected, that learner will then sit in the rejected file, and under the actions tab here on the right hand side, it will tell you exactly why that learner is being rejected. So it could be that you've just completed an out-of-date form for that learner, which is 9 times out of 10 the reason why they get rejected. So the actions are clear from our quality team. So once you've then completed those actions, your learners will sit in the completed file here. This then allows you to view the learner. You can view the history of that learner and view when that learner's assessments are going to take place. So we've got here that we've got learner 1. So I'll go on to our learner 1. Bear with me. There we go. It wasn't coming up on my screen, but what it allows you to do is view the elements and anything that you've uploaded for that learner. There we go. And then obviously look at the declaration that learner and yourself has signed. And then any history. So if that learner's already had their approval and submission, you'll be able to look at those as well within here, and it's all date and time stamped. If that learner has had a planning meeting booked, they will sit in this section here, so you can see quite clearly who that learner is, the qualification that learner is on, the provider is your own name, and then you can see the assessment planning date. So you can see quite clearly when that day or when that planning meeting is going to be had. And then you can see the status as well, so whether that's been completed or in progress, or if it's been cancelled. You can view the plan as well, so you can view the components, etc. Just going to go back to that. Oh, we've just jumped back a few screens, sorry about that. There we go. So you can view the plan and also view the meeting as well. You can see that this one has been or is in progress. So our next tab is the assessment tab. So what this allows you to view is your learner in full. So once that learner's gone all through that gateway, them gateway steps, have their planning meeting, they will then be ready for their assessment. So what this allows you to do is view any alerts and view that learner's profile. So you can see here we've got the assessment profile for this learner. It allows you to see the apprentice details, the program details, any alerts. So it could be that they've failed a component, and there's some actions for yourself to go through on there. And then you've got the program checklist. But as I mentioned right at the beginning, that the results aren't shown in here, but what is shown is the feedback. So this is where you'll find the feedback for your learners. So you can press the manage button. That'll then come up with this screen, and then you've got the results and feedback within here. Obviously the results won't show for yourselves, but the feedback will. Okay. If that learner fails all of the components within their assessment, that learner will then go back into learning. So you can pop that learner back into learning for any resits. Hopefully they'll pass, and then they'll be popped into the certification where you can view that learner's certificate as well. So what we've got then is our support materials. So I'm just going to come down to our Welsh qualifications at the bottom here. And what that will do is bring up the qualifications or the support materials we've got for the qualifications. Now, anything with the blue button is new. So we've got the assessment preparation form. If this ever changes and we've got a new version, just always make sure that you're using the most up-to-date version, because this is one of the reasons why the learners would get rejected in the gateway review stage. But you can see here we've got a number of resources that we've popped in there. So we've got a video on logging on to Pro for the first time that you can send to your learners, a guide on how to log in, a user guide on how to register multiple learners using the bulk upload template, which is what I've gone through. So there's quite a few things in there that you can have a look at and utilise, and also some that you can send to your learners as well. So that then brings me nicely onto our reporting. Now, I know Andrew mentioned at the beginning that the reporting is a good feature within the platform, and one that we just
Chris mentioned one last thing on the support materials in Welsh
Absolutely.
qualification. Sorry. So this is a demo, but if you have a look on your Live Pro system, you'll notice there's a lot more documents within that Welsh qualification support materials, including learner declaration of authenticity, etc., etc. So we are adding more documents in there as well as guides. So do keep an eye on that area. Thank you, Ashley. Sorry.
That's not a problem. Thank you for that, Andrew.
Ashley, another question that's come into the pane before you move on is from Claire. Claire has asked that she says, can she filter the communication so that she only gets notifications for her learners that are completing the childcare qualifications? Currently, she's getting notifications for learners doing the health and social care and the construction quals. And so she would like to know whether doing what you've just outlined will stop that from happening.
I don't think you can actually navigate it to your own learners. Unfortunately, you may be able to change it down to qualification itself, but we'll have a look at that off screen, and I'll take your email address away and give you a call in regards to that, because it might be something that we can do with just your site.
That's great. Thanks so much for that. Hopefully, Claire, that will be helpful to you.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. I'll take your email from the question tab and drop you an email afterwards, and we can have a look at that. Perfect. Is there any more questions within there that want me to go back and have a look at anything?
No, that was it. That was
perfect.
it.
Perfect. So what that brings me nicely onto is the reporting. So there's quite a number of reports that you can pull within the system. We've got apprentice reports. You've got gateway reports. We've got some planning reports, so those on planning meetings and assessment plans. We've got some assessment reports, certification, provider, the employer ones, and then we've got some miscellaneous ones as well. So what I'd ask you to do is have a look at these. Any that are relevant for yourself, have a play around. and pull those reports. I am going to pull one today on the apprentice details just to show you how easy it is to pull a report, because then what we can do is, I think Andrew mentioned this at the beginning, you can then set this as a saved template and schedule these reports so that they can be emailed to yourself daily, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly or yearly. You can set that date so that you've got those reports coming into your email address to save some admin time for yourselves. So what you'd need to do is click on load. What this then does is bring us up to the filters. So you just need to make sure that you put the correct filters on. One that I'll mention straight away is the provider filter here. You need to select this to your provider. It'll only give you your center option anyway, but that needs to be on, otherwise the report will be blank. What you can then do is just pop in some filters. So I'm just going to pop some random ones in there and hopefully it'll pull something for us. Because I'm pulling a gateway committed date, what I want to do is make sure that I pop this to yes. So if you are wanting to have a look at those gateway committed days and pull a report on that, you need to make sure you've selected that that's on yes. What you can do is, if you've got a number of qualifications within here, so that I know, Claire, it was yourself that mentioned you've got the childcare as well, you can pull reports based on the qualifications that are relevant to yourself. So we've got the level 4 in here for the leadership and management, and then we've got health and social care. So you can see that there's a number of reports that you can pull down to standard qualification. You've then got the sector, if you wanted to pull it based on sector. And then apprentice status. So we've got on programme, suspended, cancelled, withdrawn, completed, back in learning or in assessment. So I'm just going to click on in assessment, and then I'm going to click on apply and run. Naturally, this is a demo site, so I don't have the apprentice names, etc. in here. But if I was happy with everything that was pulled, what I can then do is save as. You'd give that report a name and then save that report. Once you've saved that report, this allows you to then manage scheduler. So if I clicked into my manage scheduler and create new schedule, give that a name, and then you'd go in and find that report that you've just saved. So bear with me a second whilst I just find that one. There we go. And then you can select the frequency. So I want this to be sent to me weekly. You can even pop the time that you want that to be sent to you. So we'll just bob that in for here. You can select what day of the week that you want it to be sent to you. So I want this to be sent to me on Mondays. And then you can pop the email address in. So if I just pop my email address in and then my name, and then if you wanted this to be sent to multiple email addresses, you can select the little plus button there, and it allows you to add as many email addresses or staff members that you want. You would then need to click that you send this as a link and also make it active, so make that an active report. You then click save, and you can see here that now this is an active report. You can view the report, you can edit it, or you can delete it. So if it's not relevant anymore, you can go in and delete that at any point as well. Okay. Now I've tried to go through everything today, so what that then leaves us is some time to go through some questions. So I'm just going to come back to the presentation and answer some questions that we've got live on the questions tab. So just bear with me a second whilst I come back. Hopefully this will work nice and quickly for me. Perfect. And then we've got our questions.
If we haven't got any questions, I'm hoping you can hear me. And I can't see. Can we see anything in the question tab?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
There's quite a few. I beg your pardon as well. I'll let you answer questions. I just wanted to add a few little comments that I've been putting in the chat, just in case this isn't part of the recording, and then we can talk over what my chat, just some practical tips to Welsh providers in terms of some of the data that they can use. But okay, let's have a look at the questions. Sorry.
Yeah, so we've got one that I can ask, so thank you for that. And I think I mentioned this in my demo as well, that your learners can get access to the platform. So if you just bear with me a second, what I'll do is I'll share my screen back to the platform, and I can show you what the learner side of the platform will look like. So this is going to test my technical. There we go. So I'm just going to come to the apprentices, and if you find the learner that you're wanting to look at, I'm just going to look at this one today and click on view profile. This is what the learners will see. So they'll be able to see their overview, so registration date and assessment date. If they've had a planning meeting, they'll be able to see what date that planning meeting has been booked for, when their assessment is booked, and then right through to certification. And then they'll be able to see the certificate as well. Any upcoming events, so that would be the planning meeting and their assessments within there. The learner gets to see their own profile, so the information that you've popped on when you've added that learner in. And then they've got the file, so anything that you've uploaded for that learner at the gateway review stage, the process stage, that learner can then look at that as well. So they'll be able to download and view any of their relevant file types or documents that have been uploaded. Okay, so we'll just come back and have a look at a few more questions. Oh, this is where the technical side will go wrong, because I've got two screens up at one place. So sorry about that. Bear with me. There we go, I'm back to the slides now. There we go. So Andrew, can you, I've lost the question thing. I don't know if you can have a look and see if there's any more questions that have come through for me.
I have a question here. It's related to reporting, so we're on the perfect slide. So question was, if a report is created by a user, is that report then available to other users in that center, or is it only limited to just that one customer user?
Yeah, so if you pull a report on your own login and don't save it, only you can view that report. If you save it, it will sit there under your saved reports for the centre. And then alternatively, if you then go and email that, you can email it to yourself or email it to a number of staff members. It will only be visible to yourself if you don't save it and you just run it.
I see. Okay. Hope that answers that question. In terms of what I put in the chat, so just to contextualize it for a Welsh audience, obviously we've talked a lot about expected gateway dates. We've talked about the expected completion date and the apprenticeship start date, expected start date, I should say. My suggestion would be to Welsh customers, and with their MIS managers in mind, is to reconcile EPA Pro or Pro data with their own internal MIS. And I've put in there, for example, the field references. LP73 from the Lifelong Learning Wales record would be the suitable date for the apprenticeship expected start date. LP77 would be the suitable date for the expected completion date. And then from discussions I've had with customers over the last 6 to 12 months, there's been a range of viewpoints as to when the expected gateway date would be initially put. Now, I've heard ranges between 1 and 6 months before the expected completion date, but that will be up to you as a customer to work on that for a realistic and accurate date as to when you think learners will be ready before that professional discussion. So just something I wanted to add in there, just to give you some hints and tips as to, and that will obviously help if you are doing periodic reconciliation and maintenance of your data, just to keep your MIS and Pro aligned. So that a question was raised about notifications. We are going to then minimize the incorrect notifications coming out, because if your base data is right, then it's going to be accurate.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay.
We have had a few questions in regards to the platform itself, so I think we've had 3, so I'm going to go through those now. One of those, can the learner change anything or only view the information? They can only view it, Tracy. They don't have access to change anything within there or any editing rights to the platform. They can just log in and view their own profile, which leads me nicely on to the next question, which was, does the learner only have viewing access or can they download and upload documents? They can view their own documents, but they can't upload anything into that. That's just the tutor's role, but they can view and have a look at anything that's been uploaded on their behalf. We've had another one that says they've had technical problems. That's not a problem. You'll get sent the full presentation along with the webinar. However, what I'll do is I'll take your email address away, and if you want to have a session with myself offline, we can book that in. So what if the learner has gone past their expected end date? Would you be able to change and edit the dates on Pro? Yeah, absolutely. So what you can do is go to the enrolled section within the platform and click on change their end date. That will then allow you to edit that end date and pop the learner back into the system, where you can then confirm and process that learner and upload any of their relevant documents.
That's another reason, Ashton, correct me if I'm wrong here, that we would like centres to be much more active within the system, so that they can keep updating learner information relevant to the local changes for that learner. And then that means that everybody is clear about change in circumstance, or if a predicted date is now not going to happen around Gateway and things. Would that be a fair assessment, Ashley?
Absolutely, yeah. The data is only correct once you pop it in there. So absolutely, naturally, if you've popped a learner on and that expected date gateway date has been put in there from the system, which it does a year and a day, we just ask that you change that straight away on adding your learner. If you've got historic learners in there, which I think that answers your question, that they may have already passed that date, on the system, what it allowed me to do on the demo is change that to reflect today's date, and I think I put it into the 30th of September this year. So once you've done that, you can then save it, confirm that learner, and then they move to the confirm section, ready to process. But yeah, absolutely, in your own time, have a look, log on, and then just have a look at those learners that should be in the enrolled section and have a look at that confirmed end date, and just change that if necessary to yourselves.
Does that help, Timothy?
Okay.
Sorry, Andrew, you were going to say something.
No, that's fine. Sorry, I was going to say something. And Susie, you mentioned about maintaining the local changes with Pro. Obviously, any status changes of learners, if they have left program without achieving, it's going to keep everything tidy. And as part of that reconciliation, that periodic reconciliation, if you could keep your learners' statuses updated. I mean, there is also an ability, a facility, I should say, to put on suspended learners. So there is also that. So where you do have learners who go on suspension in Wales, then you can also mirror that with Pro.
Ashton, would you be able to bring up that the part of Pro that allows customers to do that, so that people can be reminded where it is?
Absolutely. I'm going to test my technical abilities again. So hopefully it'll take us straight to Pro. So just bear with me a second. There we go. That went straight away. So yeah, I'll just go through this section again. So we've got Gateway Review, and then we've got enrolled learners. So if I click on enrolled learners, I'm going to highlight where it says expected gateway date. And as you can see, this date is years out. So what I'm going to do is edit that expected gateway date, and it brings me to this page. So you've got the expected start date, expected gateway date, and then expected completion date. So these are the two that you'd need to change. So you'd need to change this one here that I've just highlighted, and then, bear with me, the bottom one here. Once you're happy with that, you can save and exit, or save and continue. Now, if you've got learners that have been withdrawn, have left the qualification, have a break in learning, because we're already in that apprentice profile, you've got a change of circumstance tab here, so you can change that at this point. And you'd click on the grey button here, and it allows you to change that status to suspended, cancelled, or withdrawn. So you can save it at this point and change it there, or you can come under the issue management button, click on change of circumstance, and then search your apprentice. So I'll just search one, and then you would click on update under the actions tab, and it brings you to that same page, the change of circumstance, where you can then change the learner's status and add a reason in there as well.
Thanks so much, Ashley. And I think this is one of the areas that we do want to support centres to do much more effectively. It allows us to do capacity planning, and it also allows us to think about learners who might be coming to the end of their registration window, who have not yet progressed to external assessment, because obviously they can't progress to external assessment if they're no longer registered. So there's a number of things that we would like to do with the system that we're not able to do because learner profiles are not up to date. So it's something that we would really like to work together with centres to try and improve. I think that's a fair call, Andrew. Would you agree?
Absolutely, Susie. And yes, hopefully with the creation of bespoke reports, this will make the admin burden significantly reduced. So if you are having a full spreadsheet of learners, you can quite quickly go through and make those alterations for then transfer into MIS and to Pro.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So, Aisling, you mentioned earlier a couple of times in response to colleagues' questions that some additional support options are available to them outside of today's event. So are you able to talk a little bit more about that and how customers might engage with that?
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you, Susie. So my role now is supporting Andrew. So I'll be the dedicated digital solutions manager for any of Andrew's customers, which is yourselves that are on here today. So what myself and Andrew are going to do is reach out to you all with my details, so that you've got me as that first point of contact for any of your platforms that you use within City and Guilds. So I do sit under all of them, so whether that's Wall Garden, Pro, we'll send you a list of all the platforms that I run, and I'll be here to have one-to-one support. So whether that's new staff training, refresher training, so I've mentioned that I'll reach out to a couple of you online today and take your email addresses away. So it could be that yourself come to those sessions, or we have it over the course of the whole centre. And like I say, it can be one-to-one support, it can be refresher training, new staff training, or anything that you've just got a little question about in regards to the platform itself. I'd be your first point of contact for that. So I'll make sure you've all got my details afterwards, and we'll send that along with the presentation and the recording, so that you've got my details. But I will be reaching out to you all individually as well, just to see if you do need additional support with any of the platforms that you're currently using.
I think that's critical, Aisling, because I think, with other platforms, colleagues are in and out of those platforms quite routinely, whereas with Pro, it's not an everyday thing for a lot of colleagues, and therefore it's like anything, isn't it? If you don't use it frequently, you forget how to use the basics, but also maybe don't have that flexibility to go and have a little bit of a play around. So my appeal to you all today is to sort of take us up on that offer. and don't be shy in coming forward if you've got a problem or if you feel that you need some extra support, because it does everybody good to help you engage with this particular platform.
Absolutely, thank you for that, Susie.
Andrew, do you have any further questions coming up your side?
I mean, from experience, I think obviously our colleagues on our health and social care and CCPLD will be more experienced using the platform. And what I would say is, if you have the ability to share practice with your construction colleagues in your colleges where you run both, that would also be advantageous. But certainly, Ashley and Susie both, we have the support here, and I have already over the last 6 months created a number of support sessions with customers to look specifically at Pro. But the hope is that following this, and we kind of designed this to run over summer, where you may have a little bit more time to have a look at some of the platforms and maybe look at some of the reconciliation of your data, with a view to when September rolls around and you start doing the big enrollment periods, then you'll be far more au fait with the system. But absolutely, if you have any further support requirements or anything around reports, if you're struggling with creation of reports, etc., then certainly reach out to myself or Ashley, and we can put something in the diary.
That's great, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Well, there's no other questions that have come through live. However, what we'll do is send all our details out along with the recording and the presentation slides. But yeah, thank you so much for joining today. Sorry, yeah, I think I lost sound for a second then. So yeah, thank you so much for joining today. You will get the slides and the recording. I don't know what bit that cut out, but I did say that we'd send all our details across as well, and we'll pick up any of the questions that I said and we'd take that off screen. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, and we hope it's just been of benefit today. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.